Jack of all trades. Hey, I'm your host, Lamar L.A. Smith, and welcome to another episode of the Jack of All Trades podcast. Today, I'm with Yoel Aynalem, the host of Yoel's Hangouts. Yoel is also a videographer, photographer, and businessman. So, one quick funny thing to me was like, we did a podcast, like obviously last week on your show.
Yep.
And even though we were supposed to be talking about, the book and a whole bunch of like college stuff, which we did, we ended up talking about basketball for like 15 minutes.
For a long time. And I was like, oh, I should probably involve that in the title so that people know, like, hey, we talked about it for a pretty long time, which wasn't bad. Like we actually we kind of applied it to life.
Yeah, that's the same thing that I was thinking. Like we kind of really just applied it to a lot of different life elements, which I think that was, one of the unexpected but more interesting parts of the conversation as well.
I agree. It was cool. It was different. It was, you know, I always think about like if I'm gonna write a book, like what it would be. And I think one would be like the philosophy of bass. Like there's like philosophies of archery and like things like that where like they take one concept and like apply it to life. And like I've just learned, and I'm sure people, that have played sports in general can attest to this. Like sports like teach you so many valuable lessons, especially if you play and commit to them for a long enough time. Like you just go through these ups and downs, you love it, you fall out of love with it, you are not getting any better, you start to get better late, you might get better exponentially, you start to hate it, usually a lot of the problems you have like on the court is usually like problems like you run into your life. Like, are you selfish? Do you not know how to play with others? Do you not, are you
That's a good point.
lazy?
That's a good
You,
point.
you know what I mean? Like usually those things will manifest themselves through your basketball. Like for me, it was like I used to really like pressure situations, but then like I wouldn't try if it was easy. Like I'd blow layups and then like swish, three threes in a row because I would just be like, oh, I don't care. It's a layup. Like, it is what it is. And I realized like that's kind of how my life was. Like the easy stuff, I just wouldn't care. But then when like it was crunch time or like, the pressure was on, like I was super busy, that's when I would kind of show up. So it's funny how like certain things like apply in your life, like on the court, and then you see how like your life is, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. I'm kind of doing that right now with my life. It's weird.
No, I definitely feel that. All right. So we got a lot to talk about today. And one of the things that I really want to highlight in this episode is that, college isn't the one all be all. Like, there are other paths to success outside of just going to college, right? So you do a lot, man. Businessman, like I said, videographer, photographer, really impressive background. I want to know
Thank you.
how was your childhood? Like how was it like growing up?
Um, so I grew up in a home where, school was extremely important, not only in my family, but my extended family. I've had cousins that went to, USC, Vanderbilt, LMU, just a lot of really good schools and American University. One of my cousins is going there. Like, and school was very important. School was expected, and not only school, like good school, hard major, graduate school. My dad has two master's degrees. He did like plant genetic research, like
Oh my God.
super academic guy. And I think in retrospect, I'm really only realizing it now. um it kind of like his such large success in that field kind of put a lot of pressure on me, in the sense of I almost felt like even coming below academically, even being below or at where he was at, was almost like a failure, right? Like, when someone has this big, like, I'm sure like Michael Jordan's kids, like they're like,
Yeah.
it might be rough to be like, damn, like if I even try, like what's the point of trying? Like you're looking up at a mountain that's so high, and you're telling people are like, oh no, your dad's like, hey, come on, you can be better than me, or you should be doing this. Like, are you kidding me right now? Like that is like the worst pressure ever. So for me, I kind of um it not only was the pressure, it was also not really wanting to do the same thing as my parents. You know, I
Mm,
always felt like, sometimes you feel like I didn't feel like I was adding value to society doing the same thing as someone else. Point blank. I didn't feel like I felt like, we moved to America, we're immigrants. So I was like, okay, my dad took the academic route, we got here, blah, blah, blah. Okay, like what else can I do? I don't want to go in the field that he went in, which was like science and like STEM and all that stuff. Because I was like, he's done that. He's done that. My cousins, are doctors, all that. I'm like, I want to do something different. I want to do something more fun. I want to do something that, when I look back, I did something of my own. This was mine. I made this. I created it. So at a very young age, I always saw the world in the sense of like, something that could be changed, something that, can be created. I wanted to have options. I wanted to have power. I didn't like looking at something not being able to buy it. That really bothered me. We were very poor when we immigrated here, so certain things that I wanted, we just we were in that building stage. We were just getting our feet under us. My dad had a degree in a different country, but obviously you know how that goes. It doesn't really matter in America.
yeah.
So we are still kind of going and building the foundation. And so that bothered me. Even we kind of got our feet under us, middle class, did our thing. It's still I still didn't like that. Sometimes you're stuck in your ways, and my dad was cheap even when he had money. Like our lifestyle did not change. So I was like, this sucks. Like I don't want like what like why did we work, why did we immigrate here and work so hard to have the same cheap lifestyle and like just kind of like live and pay bills, and they're saving, I'm sure, for retirement or whatever, because he kind of started things late when he got to America. And I was like, that sucks. I don't want to go my whole life without having an opportunity to buy whatever I wanted. I'll see my friends, they'll go on these vacations, they have a house over here that, and I'm like, I want a piece of that. I don't want, you know, back then, when we were kids, like young kids, maybe when you were like young, being an entrepreneur, being rich was like the equivalent of like being an astronaut. Like it was not gonna, it wasn't a realistic goal. Like having your own business, owning things, 7-Eleven, like it was like, who are the people that own this? It's like some mystery world that, before the internet, we didn't really have any sort of, unless you grew up with, people, family, friends, family members that were, it was like this like fantasy world. And I was like, man, like, I want to own things. I want to, build things. I don't want to work for someone else. And I really observe the world objectively, and I'm like, I'm either working for someone else or I hire people and I own it. Like it was very clear to me. And I was like, well, shit, if I'm going to have a goal, like, why don't I have a goal of owning things? Because then no one can fire me. They have the most money. Very kid like objective, um, way of looking at the world, just being like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I see how oh, okay, the boss. And then in cartoons and stuff, the boss was always that mean guy,
Yeah.
like it was
Like
always
Mr.
that
Crab.
bully. Mr. Oh yeah, yeah, that's a great example. Mr. Krabs, like all of these cheap guys that, and I was like, well, wait a minute, like I think I can do that. I can think I can be a boss, but not be, an asshole. Like I think that's like a thing that can be done. And that concept was not around back then. I'm not saying I invented it by any means, obviously, but I just kind of looked at the world very, very objectively. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have that as a goal. I'm gonna be whatever I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make sure I have control over it so that no one can ever take away from me, no one can ever fire me. I think it's just a good goal to have, especially in America. The way I saw things, the people that were the most educated didn't necessarily have the most money, and I
True.
looked at that as, and I looked at that as like, I didn't look at that as, but they got the most respect, right? In the
Hmm.
culture of especially immigrants, African culture, Asian culture, Indians, um, you see the most educated person, but it's kind of a traditional way of viewing things, right?
Hmm.
Because that's kind of like their way out, right?
Hmm.
It was the only way out. So that's why it was valued so much in that particular culture. In American culture, money is the way out of that, maybe middle class or lower class. uh kind of place, right? So, I saw that and I was like, oh, interesting. I see, like, that's respected because of this. They had to get out and education was their path out. Okay. Well, guess what? I want to get out as well. I want to get out of this lower to middle class that for some reason is, we're like, the whole family is drinking this Kool-Aid that, like, being an engineer and like making, $70,000 a year is like the holy grail, like the holy grail, like, you're at a perfect point in your life, you're successful because you're an engineer, you might be a pharmacist, you might be this, that. There's nothing wrong with those things, but I think, like, if you are the type, if you're an ambitious competitive person like I am, I always saw that as like, look, if I want to be an engineer, I want to own an engineering firm and I want to grow the engineering firm year in, year out. If I want to be a pharmacist, I want to have my own pharmacy and keep growing. So I had a different way of kind of viewing things that a lot of, people around me just didn't really understand. So, I think just growing up, and I'm glad my parents kind of like understood a little bit of
Hmm.
where I came from, but they still were like, you need to get good grades, you need to do
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
But they didn't kind of shut down any of my ambitions or wanting to do something different, wanting to make money, wanting, because my dad, he's academic, but he's very entrepreneurial in the sense of, like, he likes to try new things, experiment, be open minded, have these side things going on. So um, not only of looking at the world objectively when you're a kid, but also having an environment that doesn't kill your dreams. A lot of dreams are killed at a very young age, and that's very unfortunate. And I'm still on my journey. I've just now kind of started to get my feet under me. Things are developing, things are growing, but those first couple years dropping out of college, my mom was crying. My dad was very disappointed. He wanted to make sure, like, hey, I know you're doing this, but just make sure you going back is not out of the question. And I was like, I don't think you understand where I'm coming from. This isn't really what, like, I do not care. Like, this degree from what I want to do means nothing. I don't want to get
Mm.
into any more debt for something that is just going to satisfy, whatever sort of insecurity that you guys might have or what I have, so it's not easy, but if you see something that maybe other people don't see, it's very important to kind of go after it, because um never try to explain it to other people. You have all the context, you have all the information. There's nothing that you can really, there's some people that might understand, and then most of the time they may not understand, but they trust you and they support you, and they're going to be like, hey, look, it's not, you're young, you can take these risks, it's not a big deal. Even if you fail or whatever, then you can, always go back, but I support what you got to do. That's the best usually that you can hope for, but most of the time they there's no need for you to get their support. It's okay,
No,
so
I think that's a great point. I forget actually no, one of my mentors said this in a call we had yesterday. He said usually the people that doubt you the most are the people that love you the most, like the people that naturally care
100%.
about you
That's a
and like want
great
to see
point.
you do well. And like it, like you said, it comes from the heart, but your mind will see only what it wants to see. So in
Mhm.
their mind, this traditionalist route or the way they view life or the concepts or what their plan is for you, because your family always has a plan for you, whether you know it or not. It feels like they're stuck on that, but they don't realize, regardless of however old you get, that your path won't align with that, no matter how much they want it to align with that. Like
Yeah.
my mom is learning as well. Like in the time between my senior year in college and now, she's seen me go from wanting to be on ESPN. She's seen me from wanting to be an engineer first, then wanting to be on ESPN, then wanting to have my own show on like a sports network, then to now I'm an author and I'm pursuing that, and to financial stuff I'm doing that now. So like all these different hats that I'm
Yeah.
circulating through. And she's like just trying to keep up because, like you said, back in the day, it was just, oh, you did this, and then you went to this job for 30 years, then you got a pension, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But I do feel you on not wanting to get into debt, especially if you weren't that passionate about that. I think it was dope that you prioritize your happiness. So,
I think it's also like, not to cut you off, but I think it's not even about the passion or not. I just knew that that wasn't the vehicle for what I knew I ultimately wanted to do, if that makes sense.
mhm,
So like passion comes from, like, our interests are predicated on the things we need. Isn't that interesting to think about? I've really thought
hmm,
about that recently, because we think our interests are like some mystical things, but look at the algorithm on YouTube, on Instagram. You go to the explore page, you feel like those will change predicated on what you're interested in, what you feel like you need at that particular time. Sometimes that explore
mm,
page, that YouTube page, might be all basketball highlights because you're really into basketball lately. Maybe you just got into a basketball league, and then maybe you broke up with your girlfriend, so it's all girls, booty and all that shit. And then, like, different things that you feel like you need, it dictates your interest. So because for me, I knew inherently long term, this particular avenue was not conducive to the thing that I felt like I needed to reach my goal. The passion was not there. It's interesting. I've only come to realize that
man,
recently.
that is really powerful because, like you said, like all these algorithm rhythms essentially like steer you towards where your mind is already going, whether it be intentionally or subconsciously.
Based
So
off your behavior, yeah.
yeah, like I didn't never really thought about that. So
And going back to what you were saying about your mom, like, I
mm,
remember I didn't realize it was because of, fear of, like, caring about me so much.
mm,
Like, your mom is confused and stressed because she cares about you so much. She wants to play defense. And
yeah,
I remember I love my sister. We have a great relationship, but she wants to start this business, and she wants to do this, and she wants to do this, open up this store in the hood. And I'm like scared for her because I care about her. I want her to be
mm,
safe. And I'm like, why are you doing this? You need to do this. You need to talk to my friend. He knows this. You need to make sure that you have this in line. She's like, I know, I got it already, blah, blah. But I know and until I came to grips with that, my sister, I can't even imagine what my parents feel when I'm over here telling them I want to do this, 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 and they have no grasp on it. And they're over here like stressed because, one, they don't understand. And two, like, they just don't understand. So it's just like, I understand kind of where they're coming from now based off of kind of how I reacted to, like, my sister going through stuff. It kind of made me realize some interesting stuff.
dang, that really came full circle for sure. Now I like what you just did makes even more sense. So with college, what school did you go to? I know you like stopped going, but like what school did you end up going to for a little bit?
Yeah, so I went to Oregon State University.
Okay, okay. Oregon State.
Um,
That's in Corvallis, right?
yeah, 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 exactly.
Corvallis, Corvallis.
Okay, you woke.
I know a
Yeah,
little bit of something. That's because of sports, so you get an idea of like where certain schools are located and all of that.
for
So,
sure.
did you always know that you were passionate about like creative stuff like videography, photography?
So I've always been, I always just, I was always into things that were really like new and up and coming. So I always had a camera, like videotaping stuff growing up, and I just thought it was so cool and powerful that I could record something, have it live there forever, always look back on it, look back, laugh at it. I always thought videography was really, really, really cool, making cool videos with friends. I do some college projects with video and edit it up, and I just thought it was really cool. I thought it was really powerful. I thought it was really new, and I watched a lot of TV. I wonder why I like this. Oh, this. I wonder, like, just always over analyzing when I'd watch TV as well. But I just thought it was cool. Like, what? Like, the TV was like the coolest thing in my house to me. I literally was like, this is so interesting. And I was like, I wonder what, like, you'd watch these show, you'd see the cast, you'd see kind of like the on-set people, the producers, and I'd be like, man, I wonder like what they do. That'd be so weird to have that job of like being in the back, making everything happen, using different cameras and stuff. Um, but yeah, so I always kind of like was into that, and then I started the podcast, got more into editing video, editing audio, and then photos kind of came a little bit later. I got a new camera, and things just kind of snowballed and started to progress. I've always been like an artistic type person. I've always been into drawing, all that stuff, building stuff, Legos, and that was just one of those other things where you can make something and then put it out and then have people see it, have people enjoy it. So, making things has always been something that's part of my, getting like origami books in elementary school rather than reading with everybody. Like I've always been into making stuff. But then, I got a MacBook again, got a camera, started doing the podcast like later on when I was already kind of leaving college. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, get involved in the social media stuff, but I was kind of looking for my vehicle. A lot of the times, we know what we ultimately want to do, but we don't know that vehicle that's going to take us there. And that can be the scariest path, and it can be the most insecure path too. Other people asking you, what are you doing? I'm saying, I don't know. I know what I want to do. I know what I want to do, and I know where I ultimately want to go, but I don't have that vehicle there. That can create a lot of insecurity. It created a lot of insecurity with me. I didn't want people to ask me what I was doing because I was kind of ashamed of it, to be honest. As secure as I was back then as a person, secure enough to go towards my dream, but not secure enough to not feel some type of way when people would, family would ask me, what are you doing with are you still in school now? Like I'd still feel a little bit of that shame, but it wasn't enough to make me deviate from my goal. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, but then once you kind of figure out that path, you start to get momentum, you start putting yourself in a position to succeed. I moved out to LA with no real exact job or way of getting to my goal, but then just being here, and then I got this job, started working for this studio, started learning more, got some great friends that knew more than me, learned from them. Then I started my business, started getting a job here, and then things, as you put in more work, as you grow your skills, things kind of start to slowly come to you, and people start respecting the skill that you have if you are in a position, in a location that is conducive to your skill. If I did not move it to Los Angeles, not only would I not have progressed and grown as much as I have, I would not have learned the skills that I've learned this far, this fast, and I would not be in a place that had jobs for
Yeah, that's a
what
good
skill I
point.
developed, right? So I think like um there's that balance of art and business of like you got to develop your artistic skill, but you got to respect business and put yourself in a position to succeed, you know?
No, I definitely feel that for sure because like if you aren't in a place where you can thrive or develop, then it makes it harder to develop. That's like if you're go back to our basketball examples. If you're one of the best players in the country, and it's the reason why the people go to Kentucky's or the Dukes, the guys that
Exactly.
thrive at those places, they go there because they want iron to sharpen iron, opposed to if they go to, let's say,
Great analogy.
Western Kentucky or like a small school like Wichita State. Not saying they were bad schools, but like elite recruits want to play with other guys that want to sharpen their skills instead of going to practice and no one in practice can keep up with them. They have to get
Yeah,
doubled and triple teamed like the game. And who really wants that when you're already going to have that when you go to the league?
for
So I
sure.
feel like it's kind of
100%.
the same thing for
It's a
sure.
great analogy.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So obviously, this was a passion that slowly developed through the course of your life. when did you know that, like, hey, this is the time now that I need to like leave Oregon State, like start from
That's a
scratch,
great
get this
question.
thing moving?
Yeah. So I think it was so I started to kind of get into like the later part of my academic kind of career. And I just really felt like I came in not really wanting to even be there, but feeling like, look, you got to respect not having you got to appreciate and respect the opportunities that you have, but if you know it's wrong, always keep your mind open, right?
Yeah.
For me, what am I gonna do? Sit at home and twiddle my thumbs and work at a convenience store when I could be going to
Yeah.
school bettering myself? Even if I know that ultimately that's not what I should be doing, but I have to grow.
Hmm.
You have to go. If you have no better option, you need to go to school. Even if you're taking on, debt, you could start at a junior. I started out at a junior college, by the
Mm.
way. Even if you're starting at a junior college, guys, if you're young, you gotta go. If you don't know what you're doing yet, if you don't know what you ultimately want to do, this is a guy that dropped out telling you you have to do something and you have to be aggressive and you cannot twiddle your thumbs for fucking, year in, year out, being like, oh, I'm waiting for my opportunity to, blah, blah, blah. If you do not go to school, I did not choose an easy route. I work and have worked longer than more and harder than maybe some people that did go to school because I'm doing something that may be against the grain, right? So don't look at like not going to school, which is hard. Going to school is hard. If you decide you don't want to go to school, you better be working harder than the people that are going to school. And when I say working harder, I'm saying like strategic, developing your skills, also stacking up money, investing here, moving here to put yourself in a good position, doing the most because guess what? The clock is starting to tick. That's what you start to realize. So for me, what made me drop out is be like, okay, social media, I'm starting to kind of grow and learning about editing. I know LA has a lot of opportunity when it's very forward thinking. I know there's a lot of opportunity to, get into this space. I'm starting my podcast. These things kind of started to click where I was like, if I am scrappy enough, if I develop enough relationships, a big market like Los Angeles will be good for me. So I knew ultimately I wanted to move there. But why I left school was like, okay, I knew that I had maybe, you know, 5 digits left in loans that I would need to take out again in order to kind of finish things out. So I was like, man, this is like serious. I really, my some of my friends had already left, already graduated, and I was like, this is really starting to not I was already in here for mainly the wrong reasons, but this is
Mm.
really not making sense because at that point I had already been there a couple years as a business major, and I realized that as far as business I had learned nothing from the actual classes. The only thing that was actually useful that I learned in college about business was accounting. Accounting was And I was actually contemplating becoming an accounting major, but I realized that was only really going to make sense if I wanted to be an accountant, which I 100% did not want to be an accountant. But so the kind of learning the lack of things that I learned predicated on what I wanted to do, combined with the amount of debt that I would need to finish, kind of made me rethink things and made me realize that it's not really the smartest thing for me to do would be to finish. That's why I left.
Hmm. That makes perfect sense. It's two things that popped out to me for sure. The first thing is that when you talked about business, this is something that I've noticed a lot and I've learned even more recently through like my own personal endeavors. The way business schools are set up, most of them, to my knowledge, obviously I wasn't a business major. It makes zero sense. How do you have people teaching you business concepts that don't run businesses?
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna tell me to run a business that you've never run before. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So how are we really learning? Like, you could tell me all the concept terms in the book, your experience, rubbing elbows with Jeff Bezos or whoever that that may own a business. But if you don't own a business, how can you be a college professor at a business school?
They teach you how to work in a business
It That's
in a
completely wrong.
general way.
Like,
It makes no sense.
how are you going to teach me how to be an employee? Like, anyone can teach me how to be an employee.
Yeah. Not only, yeah, they're living, yeah, like it's really and but the thing is, it's almost impossible to teach because there's so many different, like, that's why I said like accounting was, because accounting is the only thing about business that is relatively universal.
Yeah,
Everyone's going to need to understand accounting, how money works, how it flows, taxes, yada yada yada. Everything else is kind of just like, you kind of got to figure it out. You got to deal with that specific industry, whatever you want to get your business into, right? So, and realizing that I was waiting for that, like, class, that subject, that book, that teacher that was just gonna like be like, oh, business. Okay, you're teaching me. Oh, I can see where I might run into that. Oh, I can see where, oh, this is great. This is useful for my future and the business that I want to open and blah, blah, blah. But
never happened.
instead of taking out more loans to like chase that carrot that I felt like really did not exist,
Yeah,
I was like, I gotta get out. And it sucked because I was kind of in deep in the sense of like, most people thought I was gonna finish, like my family thought I was gonna finish, but I was like, man, this is not, I do not see this going where I think it's gonna go. And that is a very difficult conversation to have. But you got to grow up eventually. You got to make tough
yeah, you
decisions, man.
do,
You got
you
to,
do.
it's funny because now, things are going pretty well. And but the thing is, back then you got to be a man. If we're talking to guys here, I don't know, or even a grown woman, you got to learn how to be an adult. Being an adult is making decisions that are right, but may not be right on the surface to other people. That is
Yeah,
part of being an adult. That is part of growing up. And I think that was the first adult decision that I had where it was like, no one around me agrees, but I've thought about this for some time. It wasn't an impulsive decision. Based on the variables particular to me, it is not smart for me to continue any longer. Now, this is why we had a great conversation when you're on my podcast. This is a multifaceted, and there's multiple variables as to why someone should go to school, should not go to school, should drop out, should not drop out, should get their master's, doctorate, or never go at all, because you have to make that decision for yourself. The world is complex, the world is changing. What you want to do may not be crystal clear. When in doubt, go to school. But for me, I left because of the variables I just said.
no, I feel that. And then, like, also to touch on the what you said about you got to make something happen if you don't have a plan. Far as like if you don't go to school, it's a concept that I learned actually yesterday, and it's the law of diminishing intent. Like, the longer you take to do something, the less likely it's going to happen. So if you're waiting for a second option or blah blah blah, like you said, you can even go to community college, and maybe those 2 years you may figure out what you want to do if school isn't the route that you want to go. Because like a lot of community colleges you can go to that won't put you in a massive amount of debt as well. And yeah, like if you don't make a move at some point, then you'll never make a move, like you said.
Yeah,
But
100%.
the thing that I thought that was most impressive out of all the stuff that we already talked about is when I looked at your page yesterday, saw that you had a clothing brand, and I saw like some of the meaning behind it and whatnot. What made you want to start that clothing brand?
Yeah. So that clothing brand, what's funny is that had been around for, I mean, portions of it. I started it back when I was in Portland, which was about like 3 years ago, but I released the product, the initial product, the sweatshirt, about a year ago. Now, there's multiple reasons as to why I started it, why it kind of took a long time. Why I started it is because, again, going back to what I said earlier, I've always liked creating things. I've always liked design. I've always liked aesthetics, and I thought that this was another avenue. And back then, when I started it, reason I didn't release it was back then I kind of had a belief that like selling to your friends is is like cheap. Selling to your
Mm-hmm.
friends is like frowned upon, tacky, in poor taste. When I probably couldn't like explicitly articulate that, but that's kind of how I felt. On top of that, it was very personal to me. I had taken a not only taken a long time to choose the fabrics, choose the design, go back and forth, um, but it was a personal meaning, and you can go on my page and kind of go behind it as to why that is. Um, and so that was another layer as to why I didn't want to release it. It was just kind of private and personal. And so I just kind of gave a couple to my friends, and they were like, "Oh, this is really cool. Like, when are you releasing it?" I was like, maybe eventually." So I had literally just been sitting on like, I only had maybe like 40 sweatshirts made, and I just sat on them for like a year and a half. Again, I was moving to Los Angeles, kind of getting my feet under me, figuring out all that stuff, doing my podcast sporadically when I could back then. And but then the Black Lives Matter stuff happened, um, where a lot of things were coming to light during quarantine, and I was like, let me do my part. And I had been sitting on the sweatshirts, and I was like, oh, this is something I could sell, donate half the profits, and kind of contribute to the Black Lives Matter movement. So I sold them, sold out, contributed to the Black Lives Matter movement, bought more, sold more, and contributed. And yeah, so it had been a slow process, but for me, it didn't really bother me because I wanted something that was meaningful. The clothing line is meaningful for me. I enjoy design, I enjoy the fabrics, I enjoy materials. So it was just something that was another avenue. The nonprofit aspect was of it was not initially there,
Mm-hmm.
but then again, the Black Lives Matter movement happened. I was like, let me do it. And then I was like, well, that was pretty doable for me. Just you take the profits. So there's cost of goods, which is X amount, and then the profits, half the profits. This is sustainable, and it makes it a little less. Uh, I feel a little less guilty in the sense of like, okay, well, I'm selling, and look, there's nothing, do not ever let anyone tell you that it's wrong to sell to your friends, even if you're not donating anything. That is a fucking lie that has been told for people to like try to control them, try to get you to feel guilty for like, you're making you feel guilty
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. That's the first thing I'm going to say. And I learned that from just life and just realizing that if you provide value and what you do is valuable, you are proud of the product. You put your time, blood, sweat, and tears into something, you should have absolutely no shame in selling it. I'm just going to put that out there. But yeah, so that was another aspect of it that I just wanted to develop, and it did make me feel a little less guilty, but it was something that also was a nice thing. And my cousin, he has a nonprofit that he just started. It's called the Genda Project, where he's trying to provide school supplies for a particular tribe in Ethiopia, where I'm from, where he's from, obviously. So I'm going to contribute to that. I didn't want to contribute to the Black Lives Matter movement anymore. It seems too big, very administratively top heavy. It wouldn't really be as efficient to donate to them than it would be to my cousin, because he's, all the money is going directly to that tribe. So it's going to be more of an impact and more better use of my donation dollars. So yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So before we, get towards, the back half of this, what are some of your long-term goals? Obviously, there's a lot that you want to do. It's a lot that you're already creating. what are some long-term goals for you like right now?
Long term, I would say, I want to make documentaries. So I guess be a producer, director in this in the bigger in a bigger production. I would say own my own studio. Like, I mean, I have like a studio here in my house, but it's the size of like a big garage, so it's not like a studio. But like have my building that's my studio where I make stuff, photos, have a podcasting area, make movies, eventually own like a lot, like some Tyler Perry shit. That'd be really cool. Act in some stuff. I enjoy that. It's just not really the time right now and not something that I want to do. Everything, has a season, I would say.
No, I agree. I
Um,
agree.
yeah, and yeah, just keep being smart with my money, not making spending it on dumb stuff, investing it in startups. I'm gonna probably get involved in like a cannabis startup that's starting
That's
up,
smart.
invest some into that. Yeah. And it's cool. It's a really smart concept behind it. And so yeah, just really be kind of a business person, but also remember kind of what got me to where I'm at, and just kind of grow and have more resources to keep creating and keep developing.
No, I feel that. I feel that. I feel that for sure. So we're almost done with everything, but before I finish every episode, I play a game with one of my guests. So for you, we're gonna do a classic. Everyone enjoys this, so that's why I keep doing it. It's
Hell yeah.
called Welcome to the Dinner Table. So I want you to pick 5 people dead or alive that you would like to have dinner with. But the catch for you is they got to be some type of creative. So like filmmaker, artist,
Ooh,
actor, photographer, those type of people.
wow. Okay, so does Oprah count as a creative? I mean,
Uh,
she owns her own like
yeah,
production.
she does because she owns her own production company. I think
Yeah.
she would qualify.
So Oprah, no hezzy, like 100%. Um, man, another creative. Fuck. What's his name? What's his name? What's his name?
A lot of
He
movie
got
directors.
yeah, the director that from He Got Game. What's his name? Man, he's a big
Is
one.
this,
He's black.
I'm pretty sure Spike Lee. I'm tripping.
Spike Lee, Spike
Spike
Lee,
Lee.
Spike
Yeah,
Lee, right?
Spike Lee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Adam Sandler, kind of
Ooh.
random. I'm going
Yeah, Adam
random.
Sandler is hilarious. Does a lot of his own
Um,
movies too.
Kanye, gotta have Kanye in there. Um,
Jesus.
Yeezus. Who else? What's his name? The director of Quentin Tarantino.
So yeah, Quentin,
I think that's four, right?
Oprah. Yeah, Quentin, Oprah, Spike Lee. You said Adam Sandler. You said
Adam
Yeezus.
Sandler. Damn, I
That's
love
five.
that. That's so fucking
That's
random.
a
I love
nice
it.
five.
Yeah,
It
that's
is
a
pretty
oh, that's
random,
five.
but
Did I say
yeah,
five?
that's five. Yeah, that's five.
Okay,
So
cool.
Adam, Yeezus, Oprah, Quentin, and Spike. Yeah, you got two
Yeah,
amazing directors. The boss of all
love them.
bosses in Oprah. Kanye got his foot in everything, and Adam Sandler's just a great time in general.
That's actually a great lineup. I learned literally everything from those guys. I'll take it. Oh, actually, wait. I want Dave Chappelle in there somehow. Who am I gonna switch it out for?
That is true. I don't blame you for wanting
Man,
to
I don't
sub
know.
somebody. Dave
Actually, hang on, hang
Chappelle
on, hang
is
on.
a
I'll
legend.
sub out. I'll sub out Adam Sandler
He
because I
makes
can get the
sense.
directing from Quentin and then the comedy from Dave, so that kind of
Yeah,
combines Adam Sandler.
yeah.
So,
I
man,
don't. I
that's a
don't blame you. I don't blame you.
that'd be
That's a
a
lineup.
blessing.
That would be a blessing. A blessing. All right, so that's all we have for this week's episode of Jack of All Trade podcast. Make sure you check it out on Anchor, Spotify, wherever you get listen to your podcast. Subscribe to the Inside 380 YouTube channel. What is it? Always gotta do this. Flagola. Make sure you get the book. Jack of all trades, Rise of a Party promoted the first book, working on book two as well. I'll have Yoel's info in the bio, also, my social media handles, all that good jazz. LA out.
Peace.